Well, another day with warmth and humidity here in central and eastern Kentucky. No big surprise there. We've got that weak frontal boundary that's essentially setting along the I-64 corridor. That has kept things unsettled, and this pattern is going to be staying put in the subsequent days. As you would expect this time of the year, not a washout any particular day. It's not going to rain from start to finish, but if you're going to be out and about for any length of time, just take that rain gear along to be on the safe side. Warm and muggy air in place through the upcoming weekend, which you would expect this time in July. Bulk of the activity has been out into eastern Kentucky, basically along I-64 in the Mountain Parkway, although we've got a few little isolated cells that are popping up, I think, with the dissipating complex back toward Bowling Green. Some rain-cooled air is rushing out, and that's actually helping to fuel some additional isolated cells there. South of Frenchburg, got a decent cluster running from Syersville into southeastern Magoffin County and then over toward the US 23 corridor in far eastern Kentucky. A couple of isolated cells there along the Clay-Leslie County line, and you see how these look to be intensifying a bit just to the east of Monticello, more so sneaking into northwestern McCreary County and east of Somerset. These, again, associated with a fairly decent cluster that developed out into western Kentucky. A lot of the activity east of Lexington earlier, broadening things out. You see everything really firing up, and that cluster kicked out a couple of warnings with the potential of some damaging winds. But as that collapses, the rain-cooled air rushes out and it wedges up against all the warm, moist air surrounding it, kind of acting like a little mini front. That's an outflow boundary we talk about, and the end result is some additional storms, so expect a little more down south. Mount Sterling and Montgomery County, a little bit of cloudiness in the area with some of those showers up to 64 corridors, so it's only 81 there. Meanwhile, you go to Jackson County near McKee, nice and sunny, and 85 at the Kentucky Mesonet site. 88 Lexington, 90 at State Capitol in Frankfort, down to Danville, 85 in Flemingsburg. Our dew points, no shocker, upper 60s to around 70. And of course, that puts our heat index values out east. It's not a problem at all, but we're in the mid 90s, even right around 100 in Monticello. So the one little boundary beginning to lift kind of off to the north in response to this wave of low pressure, and that secondary frontal boundary that's creating some organized thunderstorms through the Missouri River Valley. I think we'll quiet down probably a few hours after sunset. Interesting, our Futurecast wants to bring a little cluster of storms into the western part of the viewing area around daybreak, but I think a lot of the activity will be driven by the afternoon warmth and that front off to our northwest. Of course, the muggy cast stays put. It'll zigzag around a bit into the humid to very humid category. Again, pretty indicative of what we generally see during the early and mid part of July. So that front's still in the area on Thursday, so we keep the scattered storm chances around. And then as it washes out and dissipates, maybe a bit drier, and that will allow things to heat up back to around 90. Just a few storms. You see another front out west, which will be a little impactful for the upcoming weekend. So we go scattered here in the short term, drop it down a bit on Friday, and then bump it back up on Saturday and Sunday. Not to say it's going to be a big major issue. As you see here, everything will be scattered yet again. We're not looking at a complete washout. Of course, outdoor plans, plenty of them ongoing with it being a summer weekend. Just take that rain gear along and monitor the weather. As far as our temperature trends concerned, 87, that's our average high. We're going to be right at it tomorrow and just dancing around it. We may actually begin to nudge those temperatures up a little bit heading into early next week. Warm, muggy, isolated storms a little bit later on, especially after sunset. Partly sunny tomorrow, scattered storms around 87, extended forecast here. This thing's going to look awfully familiar by the time we hit the end of the week and head into the upcoming weekend, either side of the 90-degree mark Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then as we back those storm chances down just a tick on Monday and Tuesday, that may allow temperatures to rise back into the low 90s for afternoon highs.